Hello and welcome to ThePrint. This is Akanksha Mishra, and today I'm standing at the Birbal Sahni Institute of Paleosciences in Lucknow, an 80-year-old institution that is dedicated to the study of our past. However, Paleosciences is one such field which is unique because it can literally study every aspect of the world's history. So, from 4.5 billion years ago, when the Earth was first created, to 2 million years ago, when the first Homo species started appearing, all of it is fair game. The group of 60 scientists here at BSIP study everything from ancient climate to monsoon variation to even studying ancient plant species by looking at pollen fragments from the past. However, our focus today is about one unique group of scientists led by Dr. Neeraj Rai at BSIP. Based on comparison to their colleagues, this group of scientists actually studies the very recent past because they do ancient DNA.
In BSIP, we are working on ancient DNA to reconstruct the population history of human in recent past. Recent past means like up to 10,000 years before present. Not only human, but we are also working on different other questions like domestication and genetic bottleneck events in India, genetic reason of extinctions. So there are many questions. Especially, I'm interested in human, and we are trying to reconstruct the genetic history of Indians over last 5 to 10 millennia. And we have extraordinary lab, and we have a lot of fossil remains from different archaeological sites of India, and we are trying to understand the demographic processes that has changed the modern day genetic pools of Indians. And like Indians, they are like one of the most diverse population across the world, and we have different genetic ancestries, genetic sources that we don't know, like how that genetic ancestries or sources has arrived to Indian subcontinent. So we are just trying to de-layer the genetic ancestry, and it's like a time machine.
The ancient DNA lab here at the Birbal Sahni Institute of Paleosciences is a unique lab in all of South Asia. Here, Dr. Neeraj Rai and the team of scholars under him study human and animal remains using DNA analysis. Except the remains can range anywhere from 10,000 to even 500 years ago. So, from studying human remains found in the Ganga plains in Uttar Pradesh 10,000 years ago to studying dog remains found in Kashmir around 5,000 years ago, the team of scientists under Neeraj Rai is trying to decode the genomic history of India and the Indian civilization in a never before seen context. The lab is headed by Dr. Neeraj Rai with a team of researchers and PhD students working under him. They have access to cutting edge technology that goes beyond the morphological analysis of ancient remains to study the fragments of DNA left behind. One of the main projects of Dr. Neeraj Rai's lab right now is reconstructing the genetic history of the Indian people. As we speak, scholars are analyzing DNA samples from across different sites in Indian history. Indus Valley civilization sites like Mohenjo-Daro, Harappa, Lothal, and Rakhigadi, but also Neolithic and Mesolithic sites from states like Gujarat, Assam, Kashmir, and even South India. The lab gets its samples from different sources: the Archaeological Survey of India, the Anthropological Survey of India, and even different state governments. They clean and decontaminate the samples, which are quite degraded because they are very old. They then extract the DNA and sequence the DNA, answering questions about ancient Indians and their genetic makeup. But at the same time, they also answer questions about present day Indians. What is the genetic mixture of the Indian people today? What does it mean to be an Indian? And where have Indians come from?
So, in Indian context, mainly the because of the climatic conditions and different kind of bio-induced conditions, we don't get preserved skeletons like a whole body skeletons everywhere. Sometimes we only get the long bones, sometimes we only get the skull portion or the tooth portion. So, our main target will always be a tooth dentin if tooth is preserved, or in case the if we have a skull portion, we will take the petrous bone, that is the inner ear bone, we normally termed as a cochlea, and is a spiral bone. And if in case in context we don't get tooth or like petrous bone preserved, we can go for long bones, but it is always preferable to choose dentine and petrous bone.
As soon as we get a bone, like the petrous bone or the teeth, what we do is we first surface decontaminate, because so many people have touched it. We don't want the contamination from people, so we decontaminate it. We treat it in UV or just scrape off the outer surface, and then we drill it for a fine bone powder, because extracting DNA from fine bone powder will be a much easier task to do along with all the buffers we have. So what we do is, once we get the bone powder, which is 30 to 50 mg of bone powder, we incubate it in buffer, extraction buffer, and then after the overnight incubation is done, the DNA is easily extracted, and we wash the DNA, and then we get a clean DNA.
In the BSIP context, this research is unique in and of itself because while Rai's colleagues work on fossils from millions of years ago, the ancient DNA lab tackles the more recent human history.
So our scientists are working in the deep time from the unicellular few billion years, and then subsequently when the animals evolved. So each and every time period they are working. But the DNA of that period of deep time is not possible. So to understand our ancestors and how the human developed from last 400,000 years or maybe 2.6 million years of the quaternary period. But later on 400,000 was very important, 200,000 was very important. Then our cognitive development started in 40 to 50,000 years only. So if we have the sediments which are having some of the bones and very intact elements which is preserved, okay, of the human or other animals, so it is very important to study the past DNA studies. So only few thousand years, 10 to 40,000 years of the sediments, which are very important for us to understand the human evolutions. So that's why paleo ancient DNA studies is very important.
But why is this history important? Dr. Neeraj Rai has an answer.
So actually we know the history of India. We know history very well, but we don't know prehistory and we don't know the proto-history of Indian subcontinent. So we have a lot of myth about our existence, about our subsistence, about our agriculture processes, about our migration histories, about our Rig Veda, about our languages. So there are many questions that that is unresolved yet. I'm just trying to use the cutting edge DNA technology to answer some of these questions. Definitely we can't answer the existence of Rig Veda and who compiled the Rig Veda. It's a nearly impossible question. But I'm just trying to understand the processes of these kind of narrations, of these kind of historical records.
Questions about Indian ancestry have been posed for a long time in the subcontinent from different lenses: social, cultural, anthropological, religious, and even political. However, Dr. Neeraj Rai's lab approaches this question from a genetic lens, which hasn't been done much before. While there are politically sensitive matters to contend with in this research, Dr. Rai also explained that this DNA analysis and insight has brought Indian communities closer to asking and answering questions about their own genetic history. For example, it was Dr. Rai's lab that discovered how Vadnagar, an area in Gujarat, has been continuously inhabited for the past 2000 years. Another one of their research also uncovered traces and evidence of yaks being domesticated in Ladakh even as far back as 10,000 to 12,000 years ago. Little by little, this ancient DNA research is piecing together the history of the Indian subcontinent. This is Akanksha Mishra reporting for ThePrint.